Oh, we must goodness! Saturday the 4th of October. Can you believe it? The time is just flying by. Hey, rooster, stop fighting. Hello, big boy. Don't fight, man. Why are you guys fighting each other? There's no need to fight. There's many ladies to go around. You're just wasting your energy fighting each other. I've got notes this time because it's been a while since we've done this pile. I think the last we showed you guys was turn 2, day 8, where we got the temperature up to that sweet spot between 60 and 70 degrees that you want the pile to be at. So I'm not going to show you guys all the turns of every single day because that's going to get boring.
I am, however, going to insert some clips from all the turns. We did make a lot of video footage, and there are some critical points within each turn that I need to highlight because these bring out the character of this pile. So apologies if I make the video a little bit long, but I think we need to just go through the critical things that I picked up on each turn as we turned it, because that drove some of the decisions that we took while we were turning this pile, and I just like you guys to see that as well.
So it's Tuesday the 29th of July, so that means it's day 10 today. Okay, so we're gonna have another turn on this pile. I'm just checking the moisture on this meter, still says 9, but I can see there's a little bit of dryness on the top now, so I need to wet just the top section because we had a little bit of rain, and you see it's quite misty and it's been quite wet for the past few days. So we also need to take that into consideration when we are making our pile. So I haven't covered this pile now. The chickens have opened it up, so meaning some of the sections have gotten a bit dry, and this stuff that's on the outside is going to go to the inside, so we want to wet that down a little bit as well. And because of the weather, we're not going to wet it as much. We need to turn the pile that's at the bottom still, so while we're turning that one, we'll just add water on this. So that should take us about half an hour, which might be a little bit too much, but I'm not too concerned about that because it looks like the carbon to nitrogen ratio is perfect in this pile, but we'll check how it goes when we turn it as well. So the temperature on day 8, I checked around the pile, it's about 62 to 65 degrees inside there. And then, as I said, look at the moisture here, sitting at about 7 to 8. You can see the difference now. So this moisture meter is coming in handy. See, it's deeper. Down is giving me a 10, which says it's very wet. And if I feel that, yes, it's wet. And I can feel it's nice and warm down there as well. So we definitely don't want to put too much water. I think the moisture is still good. I might just water it down with the hose instead of putting the sprinkler on. Chickens are working through it. They seem to be taking a liking to the cooked seaweed. The seaweed is slowly cooking. We've still got a lot of seaweed stalks in here that I'll try to keep in the center, but you see the seaweed starting to break away now as it's cooking in the center of the pile. So I'll try to keep the stalks in the center to keep them cooking, and it's definitely decomposing because it breaks up. Check, much easier. So I wouldn't be able to pull it like that normally, but it just breaks up easier now. So I'm going to turn that pile quickly, and we're getting closer to the pile at the bottom now, so I'll have to make space down there as well for the next pile, but there's still some space for that one. So we'll turn that one down, and then we'll come and turn this pile. Okay, so we don't want to wet it too much, so I'm just going to give the outside layer a little bit of a wet. Hey chicken, come on, you're going to get cold. But what I can already see as the chickens are scratching through, they're leaving their droppings as well on the pile, which also adds some extra nutrients. Okay, all done. All looks good. seaweed is breaking down. It's much easier to break up. So yeah. So we'll turn this pile again in 2 days. So it's day 12. I'm a bit short on sunlight today, and I've got more piles to turn. But just quickly, the pile's temperatures will start cooling down now. We're sitting at a good 58 degrees Celsius currently, so the cooking is basically done. Still a bit of cooking to go. Okay, so I'm losing a bit of sun. Let's hope I can get the job done today. Day 12 complete, here in the light of bluey, a little bit of nighttime compost turning. I'm happy with the pile. I think we can adjust the moisture on the next one a little bit, because it looks like the wood chips aren't really composting yet. But as time goes, I'm sure they'll disappear. And the other thing that I picked up, the seaweed is also taking a little bit longer. Normally we would chop the seaweed up, but this time we didn't have a lot of time. So I do tear some of the seaweed into pieces as I find them, which just increases the rate that they decompose as well. So don't use the seaweed whole like that, chop them up into little pieces. But most of the seaweed is gone. It's basically the big thick stalks that are still remaining, but the rest of the seaweed has basically already integrated into the organic matter and has been taken up by the carbon. So all those minerals that we were talking about are now starting to assimilate and get into the carbon lattice of this compost. The smell is still good, smelling fresh, so not looking anaerobic. And I'm just checking if I see any of the goat manure in here still. I can't see goat manure anymore. So that's normally what happens. By the end of the pile, the ingredients that you used in the beginning should not look the same at the end of this 18 days. There will obviously be that, like I said, the seaweed would stay a little bit longer because of that hardness, or if you had like big woody material, that could stay a little bit longer. The same with the wood chips. At day 18, I'm not 100% sure that all this wood chip will be gone. But like a nighttime turning, like a compost making, enjoy guys.
1st of August. We're expecting a bit of east weather tomorrow. I'm just adding bit of water to the pile because the pile is going to dry out a little bit. Chickens are still scratching through it, as you can see down there, but the interest in it is not as much anymore. So yeah, we'll add some water to it now, probably about half an hour to an hour's worth of sprinkler, and then we'll give it a turn tomorrow evening again.
So it's day 14 already of this pile. So we've got this turn and then 2 more turns left to get to day 18. So we almost at what we would call a completed product. But for this challenge, as we know, we're going to take it for 3 months. So there's a few other magic tricks that we're going to be doing to this pile, so stay tuned for that. So as I said in the first turn video, we're still taking the outside and putting it on the inside so that the inside can become the outside. So we swap it in and out. So that's still the case. So temperature wise, we're sitting at 55 degrees Celsius on the inside of this pile. So it is cooling down. We expect it to start cooling down as the time goes now. We had to put some moisture on the pile yesterday because we've got a bit of east weather today. The temperature actually went up to 38 degrees Celsius out here. in the middle of winter today. So that normally upsets things a little bit, but not too bad. We added some moisture. The outside of the pile is still a little dry, but the inside is quite wet, so we're not going to wet it now. Before we turn it, we're just going to turn it as is. But yeah, we still have that big guy to turn, so I'm just adding some water on there while I turn this big guy. And then we'll turn that one, and then we'll do our competition pile. Just mushing. Much easier. Definitely decomposing, but not decomposing fully yet. So day 14 turn done. Takeaway from this turn, pile is still warm, not hot anymore, it's cooling down. The seaweed is breaking down, it's getting mushy and mush, but the big seaweed stalks are taking a bit longer to break down. But all in all, I'm happy with the pile. It looks like the wood shavings are also starting to fade away with time, but they'll obviously take a little bit longer. But there's a few left in the pile. You can still see. And then obviously the woody material starting to break down as well. As the pile cools down, all this stuff will also break down. Yeah, pile's on a good progress. Let's see. The organic matter starting to compost. So that black is the humus. It's nice and sticky black. So that's humus starting to build up. So that's the aim of composting, is to create humus, and we're getting there. Not fully there yet, still two more turns. Then we'll be at the pile that's ready to use in the garden. But for now, we'll keep it like that. Wednesday the 6th today. I'm just gonna try and hide behind here. It's quite windy. You want to hear the wind sounds? It's a weird southerly wind that's blowing. It's cold here. I think we've had some cold fronts in the south of the country. It's actually snowing in some regions in Namibia. Very weird, but not abnormal for southern Namibia. We do sometimes get snow in the Aus region down here. So yeah, we turned the pile last on Saturday the 2nd of August, which was day 14 of the turn. But today is now Wednesday. I had to go to Windhoek for work. We were supposed to turn the pile on Monday again, which would have been day 16 of the pile turn. So because we didn't turn the pile, we're gonna start day 16 now today, which is fine. It's okay. We skipped a few days, but we're still gonna call this turn day 16's turn. Okay? We didn't lose too much. We lost 2 days. The pile is still quite hot. So the temperature in the pile is sitting at 56 degrees. The moisture is sitting at a 9 in the pile. So I am going to hose the pile a little bit. As you see, it's a little bit dry on the outside. So we just want to wet this. So it did dry out a little bit, but because of the temperatures that we've had, the pile stayed fairly moist on the inside. So it's just this outside layer that's drying out. But if we look at the pile itself, you can see that the chicken activity has decreased on the pile, because we do have new piles that are built on the upside of the chicken run now. So the chickens are now more interested in scratching through those piles and looking for goodies. And they leave this pile. They're still working through this pile a little bit as well. As you see, they're opening it up on the bottom layers, but not as much on the top layers anymore.
Yep, Murphy. So at this point my camera breaks. Not the camera, the stand itself. And I need to get that fixed. So busy prepping the area for the winning compost pile, where it will spend its final days. So we're just layering out some of the sandy compost, and then we'll be smoothing it out so that the pile can be turned. Yeah, we won't be turning it as frequently for the last phase, but this will be its resting place. So why we did that is we've got this gap in the fence where I fell with Bluey one year. Almost died that year. So that's why we try to take a lot of precautions. That's why I don't let Johannes ride Bluey at the moment, because Johannes doesn't have a driver's license yet. We're still waiting for him to get his ID from the north, so we can see if we can get his learners done, so he can start doing driving lessons, so he can start taking responsibility of doing compost during the week as well, because otherwise that all falls on me. But basically we're making space then for these piles then to move through there. But we'll have the winning compost because it's 3 months that it needs to sit. It's interfering a little bit with our normal cycle, because normally once the piles get to the bottom, we have the finishing pile where Blue is standing now, or a finishing pile on this side, which we then move into the areas that we needed. But for now, because this area will be occupied by the winning pile, we need to just make space for these piles now to move onto the finishing pile on that side of the fence. Okay, so we still need to put a fence up. The chicken coop is not 100% complete, so once we get a fence up here, we can then start planting, doing the dual planting system, planting on that side, having compost on this side, and then every 6 months we switch, so you'll have planting this side and then running compost on that side with the chicken. That's ideally what we would want eventually, but yeah, time and money, it's not always on our side, but we'll get there eventually.
I know we've skipped yesterday again, because I wasn't feeling well yesterday. But that's also okay. So we take this as day 18. It should actually be the final turn of this pile, and this pile should be ready to use in the garden as it is currently. But for the competition, we're obviously gonna go another 2.5 months basically, and then we'll do a little bit of magic in between. But I just want to show you the pile is still quite hot. I think it's a lot of nitrogen that we've got in it. So the longer time is actually a little bit more welcome for this pile. But let's show you quickly how this pile looks like. So we're sitting at 55 degrees still on the inside of this pile, which is still quite hot for day 18. That's an indication of the high nitrogen content that we have as a result of the manures that we've been using. But that's okay. We'll still let it cook. It's still cooking. You can see there's still a lot of wood chips or wood shavings in. But the moisture still looks good. He's sitting at a moisture of 9. I have wet the outside of the pile already earlier today, and we've been leveling out or adding. We probably added that pile worth of sandy compost in this area now. So just to show you how thick we've made it. It's quite thick, quite a thick layer that's in there that we've layered on top of this. So we're gonna cover this pile up now. Once I've turned it, I'm gonna give it a coverage, then we're gonna let it sit for a couple of weeks. So we've got our next pile up as well. Chickens are working through there now, loving scratching through that stuff. So that pile then follows the same procedure and comes downhill until it reaches its final destination over there. Okay, so let's get bluey. Appropriate technology. Let's move this pile onto the spot. Okay, so that was the last turn for the Berkeley 18-day method. Pile is still a bit on the hot side. Okay, after the turn we're sitting at 40 degrees, but I would feel comfortable using this in the garden as is. It's not fully composted yet, but it's already got a lot of humus in it, and it's well on its way to being decomposed. This stuff I would use in a worm farm as well. We might get some worms. There's a lady that needs to move out of town, and she's got a few worms. We're just waiting for her to let us know when we can pick those worms up, then we can get our worm farm up and running again. But the smell of this stuff, I wish you guys could smell it. Oh, it smells so nice. It's got a sweet soil smell. Albeit we can still see a lot of wood shavings. And there's still a lot of grass, but now that we're gonna let it sit. I don't know if you guys saw, I was compacting it to keep the moisture in now. We're gonna let it sit for a bit till it cools down, and then we'll give it a turn again. And then we're gonna add some extra biology into the pile, since it's now at a little bit of a cooler rate. It was only the hot bacteria that were operating most of the time. And now we can start adding a little bit of effective microorganisms into the mix now and get this pile up in the different types of biology. But as I said, this stuff is good to go to the garden as it is. It's still a little bit on the hot side, so it might add a little bit too much nitrogen into the soil, but good for those nitrogen loving plants like tomatoes and pumpkins and the heavy feeders. But yeah, that's our pile 18-day Berkeley method done. So now we're gonna see some more magic and see why this is the winning pile. Like a man.